We're about 2 minutes away from the end of the trading day. Alix Steel and Scarlet Fu here. Romain Bostic is off today. We're helping you take us through the closing bell in a global simulcast. We're joined now by Massar and Tim Stenovec, bringing together our Bloomberg Television, radio, and YouTube audiences worldwide to parse through the most critical moments of the trading day, well off the lows here, Carol.
Yeah, definitely. But I'm watching, some buying here in the close. We're still in the red across the board, and it's really some broad-based selling today. But I've just noticed an uptick, certainly in those major equity averages here in the last, 20, 30 minutes of trading.
Okay, help me out here. Does it matter that the Dow is on its longest losing streak going back to 1978?
It matters if you're into cyclicals.
Does that matter?
It's breadth.
Does that matter?
Yeah, it's bad breadth. That's the issue. It's all about breadth, and that's the problem. That's what it's illustrating, no?
But given the composition of the index and the way that it's
It has NVIDIA now. It's up to date.
Yeah, but it's a price-weighted index, not a.
I don't think Tim likes it. Tim doesn't like it.
I don't know.
Tim's trying to give the Dow a little bit of love today.
I like it as a stat, but I don't know if I don't know if we should read into it at all.
I mean, on its own, I agree. I don't know that that's where we want to be reading into it, but I think Alix makes a good point, which is breadth is an issue, and for all the talk that, the rest of the market's catching up, it's not right now.
Okay, thank you, Alix.
Oh, you're quite welcome.
it.
Let's take a look at the S&P equal weighted index for a second, if I just bring that up. As you see the S&P and sort of tech rally off the lows, you're not really seeing that with the S&P equal weighted index. In fact, you're looking at the worst days since October 31st, lowest level since the beginning of November. And there you have the stats, guys. You got the S&P off by 0.4%, the Nasdaq off by 0.3, Dow Jones, which Tim doesn't like, off by 0.6%. And you got the closing bells on this Tuesday, Fed Eve, guys.
Fed Eve, but this is already pretty much priced in. The S&P 500 down 0.4%, as we mentioned, so no record high. What did we stop at? I know you were keeping track of the number of record highs.
Oh man, I have an Excel spreadsheet at my desk.
59, 56?
No, I think it was like 57, but don't quote me on that, guys. I gotta check my chart.
You know what? This is the 5th decline in 7 days, so it's been a little bit of a,
It's a wobbly time.
Yeah, I don't want to say rocky, but yes, wobbly is a good way to describe it.
Interesting coming on, right? That BofA survey where it says everybody's kind of piling their cash into equities, which is a sign maybe of a top, kind of a contrarian indicator here. I'm looking at the S&P 500, guys. Most names in the index lower today. Scarlet, we're talking about 378 names in the S&P 500 losing ground, 122 to the upside, 3 at the moment unchanged.
All right, let's take a look at the IMAP. It's a lot of red. In fact, you only have one sector finishing in the green, and that's consumer discretionary, and it's barely in the green, up only 0.3%, and that's on the back of autos, namely Tesla. In terms of the big decliners, industrials, energy, and financials losing the most, with industrials down 0.9%. So there you go, Tim. There's your shout out to the Dow Jones Industrial Average.
No, much obliged. Thank you.
It's got to give them something. Tesla's up 93% year to date, and I think the move just off the election is just so impressive. Let's go to some of the individual gainers, if we may. Pfizer is the #1 gainer in the S&P 500 today, guys. It is up 4.7%, pretty much finishing at its highs of the session. The company coming out its 2025 guidance midpoint for adjusted EPS exceeding the average analyst estimate. BMO Capital Markets just among the analysts weighing in on this, calling the overall guidance reasonable yet achievable. On semiconductor, also among the gainers on my watch list, at its highs up more than 6%, finishing the day though with a gain of about 2% here. This is after the chip company and global auto components manufacturer Denso said they will strengthen their long-term relationship to support procurement of autonomous driving and driver assistance technology. Denso planning to acquire an undisclosed amount of onsemi shares on the open market as part of the collaboration. So On Semiconductor, the 4th biggest gainer in the NASDAQ 100. And then here, I want to go to Planet Fitness, finishing the day up just shy of 3%. $8.7 billion market cap fitness club company rallying after receiving a street high price target over at Jefferies, which named the gym chain as its top pick for 2025 in the fitness and wellness sector. This one has been on a bit of a tear in 2024, up 40% year to date.
Okay. It's ready for those New Year's resolutions, I guess.
Well, also, it's just really cheap to go. So it's like you can just get it done and get out.
Is this the one that used to give free pizza?
Jim's giving free pizza? That doesn't sound right.
That seems a little weird. Have you guys never been to a Planet Fitness?
I have not.
I don't think so.
Oh, okay. Well, I represent. It's nothing fancy, no bells and whistles, but you get the job done. It's like, the
it's all you
Walmart of a gym.
Hey, it's all you need, right?
Yeah, I don't need Equinox.
I want to get to some of the decliners on my radar today. I do want to start with NVIDIA, among the most actively traded stocks here today. Finished the day down 1.2%. They actually fell for a 4th day in a row. Shares down more than 12% from those all-time highs back in November. Now trading at its lowest going back to October. Still, though, take it with a grain of salt. NVIDIA up more than 160% so far this year. But over the last month, down 8%, while the SOX has been up 6.1%. And Broadcom's been up more than 40%. And speaking of Broadcom, it is a decliner on my radar today, down 3.9%. It had that massive rally after last week's earnings report. It's kind of like when NVIDIA shares first started to take off back in the early part of 2023. Broadcom shares have soared 38% from Friday through yesterday's close. That was the 2 days that since it reported results. It pushed the company's market cap to close to $1.2 trillion. Today, it did give back some of those gains, I should say. At one point, it was the biggest decline going back to September. Still, though, grain of salt, up 112% since the start of this year.
It's like everyone has decided it's the next NVIDIA.
Maybe.
You know, kind of the way they thought AMD might have been the next NVIDIA.
Or Supermicro.
Yeah.
Right?
But what's so interesting is that Lu Wang just had a piece out about the NASDAQ and the potential sort of rebalancing and says that whenever you wind up seeing these big guys dominate 48% and add up to 48% of the index, there needs to be a rebalance. And that just happened with Broadcom and its recent rally.
Oh, interesting. Okay, so a couple things happening at the same time. Finally, shares of CVS down more than 5% today. We saw other U.S. healthcare companies, in addition to CVS, fall because PBMs traded lower today. Pfizer CEO Albert Bourla came out and said that President-elect Donald Trump is, quote, very committed to PBM reform.
All right, bonds. Nothing.
Snooze.
That's it?
Snooze
That's all you
fest. Got nothing for you. There was a 20-year auction that went pretty well. It was pretty solid.
No
But
one
come on,
likes
guys.
20 years.
It's true. No one cared, but it was all right. It was pretty solid. We got nothing. There's nothing happening.
Maybe they're waiting. Maybe they're waiting for a Fed meeting or something like that.
Yeah, you know, even if you round it up, you maybe have a 1 basis point move. Maybe.
All right, guys. Well, having said that, I think we're all in on content today. A couple of stories on our radar. We all know that great line, nobody puts baby in a corner. We're talking about Dirty Dancing.
We're showing our age, Carol.
Tim, do you know this movie?
Of course I know this movie, yeah.
Alex, you know this movie.
Yeah.
All right. And if you don't know this movie, shame on you, everybody who's listening and watching right now.
There you go.
Anyway, the National Film Registry, apparently the Librarian of Congress since 1988, picks a bunch of movies, about 25 every year, and they put it into the National Film Registry. So Dirty Dancing, Beverly Hills Cop, and Up in Smoke among the films being put in for 2024.
I already know that Bluey is going to be put in there.
Oh,
Jumping the gun.
I'm
Are
jumping
you
the
teaming me up for
future
this,
Bluey
Tim?
movie. That's where I'm going.
okay. You're teaming me up because
Yeah.
personally, I don't know why this is not the lead story on
Thank you,
every
Alex. I agree with you.
news station. Because
You're excited about this
if
from the
you
morning.
have a child that's under the age of 15, you know, love, and adore Bluey. So apparently, Walt Disney is working with the studio arm of the BBC to release the first feature film based on Bluey. Apparently, it'll be released in the cinema in 2027. It's according to a statement on Tuesday.
It's a long time from now.
Yeah, and after, well, they got to get it perfect. And after it's run in theaters, the picture will become available in the entertainment's giant flagship Disney Plus streaming service, which also hosts the Bluey TV series. And if you haven't watched it, it is honestly the best kids show ever, and parents love it too. And the whole thing, it's very exciting.
So it features dogs, and I heard it's also good content for dogs.
What?
You mean for dogs at home, like to watch? So
Yes.
you leave them alone?
Apparently, like the colors seem to help pets want to watch it. I don't know about this. I have not
blues and
confirmed this to
grays
myself.
Kids and pets, who knew?
How often is it on, Tim? How often is it on in your home?
Friday nights, Bluey's allowed. We're pretty strict with screen time, to be honest. But yeah, Friday nights, Bluey's allowed, and when mom or dad is out for the night,
Can I
Bluey's
just
allowed.
say, Devin Leonard wrote an incredible story earlier.
Cover story for
this
Bloomberg
year.
Business Week.
And he said it was the most watched kids show last year, according to Nielsen, the second most streamed show in 2023 after Suits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of that is parents, I can tell you that.
But
It's a great show.
it's serious, and they're really short 20-minute episodes, and to get
No,
a meaningful
8-minute episodes.
Sorry, 8. I meant
Yeah.
with 2 of them, it winds up being 20. But it have a meaning, a point, a nice arc
Tim
for
knows
kids and for
everything
parents in
Bluey.
8 minutes.
I'm just telling you, Alex.
That is brilliant writing. What?
But I think one thing that I'm curious about is how they do this in 2027, because the kids are actually voice acted by kids, and those kids are growing up, so their voices are changing. So how are they going to keep those kids consistent? And
AI.
they're not. That's what also my dad said, Scarlett.
Yeah.
With the family's been talking about this a lot.
You
my
can do
entire
anything with
family.
AI now.
I guess that's true. That's a good point.
But they keep the actual actors behind the kids' voices anonymous.
Super
so we don't
secret.
actually know who it is.